Hello everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. This is Marissa from Grow in the Flow, and I'm welcoming you here to my Equinox readings today. If you're coming over from Instagram, I did have a little intro video over there where I talked about what I was going to be doing here. I pulled 2 oracle cards to kind of tap into the energies for the autumn equinox for those of us in the northern hemisphere, and the energies of the spring equinox for those in the southern hemisphere. So I just wanted to, I've recorded those readings. I'm coming in here ahead of it just to let you know a few things that came up as I went through the readings. I wanted to share with you on the altar here where I have represented the autumn and spring energies. I am bringing in 2 of the healing energy sprays by Angelic Celestial Colors, Amanda Ellis, and I wanted to tell you what I chose. I chose this Hope energy spray, and this had infused both of the readings, and then of course the Emerald Renewal and Recovery spray, which I mentioned over the weekend when I did a collective reading as well, that really whether we are we're moving into the fall and we're harvesting, we're releasing and letting go, or we're embracing the spring, we're having come through the death and now rebirth as the earth reawakens, the Renewal and Recovery spray is a lovely balm, I always feel, to help move us through whatever stage we are in that process of renewing and recovering, and I will add to that releasing. So as we are letting things go, as we are welcoming in new, I have brought that spray in, as well as, of course, the beautiful energy of hope and promise. So I brought those 2 things in, and I also decided to pull a spirit animal oracle card from the Colette Baron Reed deck. These are beautiful cards, and I just got one as a collective message for us all, and it was quite synchronistic that the dolphin spirit came up with this message of this and that are true. Now, if you saw my full moon reading that I did for the collective, you may have seen that the oracle card that came up was saying, we are better together. And it was a school of dolphins, which of course, in retrospect, I saw how beautifully it tied in with the water elemental spray I had brought in for that Pisces, watery, emotional, deep, intuitive, dreamy full moon that we are still dealing with the reverberations and moving through and releasing and embracing. So very lovely that the dolphin has come up again. And what I really like about this dolphin spirit card is it's talking about this and that are true. So once again, we find ourselves, no matter where we are in the world, collectively, unity consciousness says that we all have our own truths. They're all coming through our lenses. And so it's hearkening in the duality of life, that there is a duality of light and dark, of masculine and feminine, of yin and yang, that exists within all. And both are true. Both are happening at the same time. So it's talking about, any time that we are in suffering, then there is also blessing too. And when that happens, the helpers appear, or perhaps we are called to step up to be the helper. So there's just this beautiful energy about clouds and silver linings, about struggle and then great celebration. And so I love that this card came forward, because there's just been a lot of that energy of really dialing into unity consciousness. Yesterday was the International Day of Peace, really been talking about and moving through messages coming in that we are all one, and that we can come together in the spirit of unconditional love, compassion, acceptance. This and that are true. Also, the dolphin always gives us a nod to playfulness, to not taking everything so seriously, to really, embracing our inner child and the spirit of play. And of course, that takes us back to that recreate message of immersing ourselves in things that we enjoy, things that bring us pleasure, things that make us feel lighter, because that is the place where creativity will emerge. So I just wanted to share that message with everyone. Now what you will see is below in the comments, I have put timestamps. So if you want to view the autumn equinox reading, it's going to roll right into that, or you can click the timestamp. And then for the Southern Hemisphere, there will be a timestamp below that you can jump right to that reading as well. So I want to thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate it. Always appreciate your likes, your comments, sharing and engaging with how things may be resonating for you. So sending everyone an abundance of equinox blessings and saying thank you so very much. I appreciate you. Take good care. Okay, guys, welcome back. Thank you so much for joining me. Here we have the reading for the autumn equinox. So if you are in the Northern Hemisphere or you're tuning into the energies of autumn, this is the spread for that. So I've gone ahead and pulled the cards, and we're taking a look at 5 different intentions. This is a collective reading. With collective readings, we're tapping into that universal energy. So of course, some things are going to resonate more than others. You are welcome to take what resonates and leave the rest. The best way to get specific guidance for you is to have a personal empowered tarot reading. The link is below to my website with information if you're interested. We should chat. Okay, let's take a look here. We have these 5 positions. The first one we're looking at is, what have I planted that I will be ready to harvest this season? And so here we have, this is the Light Seers Tarot deck that we're using by Chris-Anne, one of my absolute favorites. So what we have here for what we've planted this season is the Ace of Swords. So this is showing there's just like this bright idea, this spark of clarity and knowing that comes in here that we are going to be planting. So this is like, and I'm also getting that Nautilus shell energy that I've been talking about with that coming around again. So cycling through something coming back up in your life, something that you may have been working on early this year, in the first quarter of this year, ideas, thoughts, intentions, goals that you may have been setting, those things are coming back around again. You've planted those seeds and you're going to be ready to harvest those things. So something that you set into motion back in the first quarter, so winter moving into the spring equinox, you planted seeds, you set intentions, you started looking into something. This could be a venture, it could be career related, it might be something of starting your own business or some type of venture that you are looking to explore. It could be personal goals and intentions you set for yourself, whether it be getting more active or changing habits, routines. It's coming back around again, and you're going to be ready to harvest it this season. So that energy is coming up first. The next position we have the 3 of Swords, referencing what can I do now to ensure my most bountiful harvest? Well, of course, this card and this particular version is one of the most emotion-evoking depictions I have ever seen of the 3 of Swords, because it clearly demonstrates a type of heartbreak, despair, angst, something that has been lost. There's a loss there that, in order for us to ensure our most bountiful harvest, we're letting those losses fall away. We're taking the time to sit with them, to feel them, to allow those emotions to move through. So that we can re-emerge on the other side. After the storm comes the rainbow, understanding that the struggles, the hardships, the losses, the things that we endure are all a part of that human journey through learning, growing, expanding, and moving forward. When we move through that Nautilus shell energy of coming around again through experiences, that we're experiencing them from that higher vantage point with what we know now, from those more difficult circumstances often come the most powerful lessons and the most abundant growth. So when we talk about a bountiful harvest, your struggles have not been in vain. The things that you have really been struggling with that have brought you the most heartache and despair are really all becoming those stepping stones to be able to harvest reap the benefits of the lessons that they served to bring in. So that's coming up there for that bountiful harvest energy. Now what we look at is, what changes should I be preparing for? Well, yes, I'll take more of this. We have the beautiful 10 of Cups. So this is that happy family, that culmination of having it all. All the cups are full. Here is the rainbow. So we had the storm. We've had the struggles, the loss. Here comes the rainbow after the storm, feeling this came up yesterday for Tarot Tuesday, the 10 of Cups, for community. It was talking about community being harmony and love and acceptance. So when we talk about changes to prepare for, it really is tuning into like every aspect of the rainbow, every color, every one of these blessings, all of this abundance that's in your life. They're from many and varied places. So when there is difficulty and struggle, sometimes it can be difficult to count our blessings, to find what to be grateful for. But what each of these cups are showing is that in every aspect of your life, there is something that you can utilize as far as blessings, the graces in your life, that you should be preparing for those cups to really be topped off, to really be filled up. So this is a beautiful card to bring in, autumn energies, to prepare for wholeness, completion, feeling at ease and with like-minded people, feeling loved and accepted for who you are, how you are, and of course extending that same grace to others as well. Now we have the fourth card. What energy must I shed in order to preserve my energy? Well, we have the Knight of Pentacles here, and I love how he's leaving his little trail of pentacles as he goes. These are all the little seeds, all the things that he's planted, but he is moving forward, diligently forward. It's not racing ahead. The Pentacles energy is some of the slowest of the tarot. So it's definitely slow and steady, moving ahead. But, some of those things that we need to shed, in terms of pentacle energy, material things, some things that maybe we were holding on to because they were familiar, they were comfortable, they were known. It's okay to drop some of those things off as we go, to shed those layers and just take with us what we need. What is it that we are going to plant in order to yield the harvest that we want to bring in. So, if we're carrying around any of this old stuff that maybe we used to value, maybe we used to put a lot of stock in, certain, friendship groups or, things that we valued, that we thought were important, that we're now sort of reassessing and realizing that those things really aren't serving us. So in order to preserve our energy, to really put it into things that we really do care about, that really do matter, that really are cultivating what it is that we want to bring forward, we can drop off some of this excess. And in doing that, we're still moving along at a steady pace. We're not racing ahead, but we are lightening the load a bit. So that makes us freer to move with more ease. So again, dropping off some of those habitual things, old ways of being, things that may have been weighing you down that aren't serving you any longer. And I am feeling, like I said, that could be like ways that you're spending your downtime. So that's the people that you surround yourself with. It also is, the things that you tune into. So again, it's that whole, what are we taking in our spiritual diet as far as the information that we're reading, that we're listening to, we're watching, whether it is on social media or tuning into the news or any other type of lower vibrational stuff that really just isn't helping us to be energized and to move forward freely. So there's an opportunity to shed some of that as well, bringing in those new routines. And so what that does is bring us to the fifth card, which is number 5, the Hierophant. How can I connect further with this season? So the Hierophant comes up a lot. Of course, this is the 2021 is the year of the Hierophant. It's card 5 of the major arcana. 2021 is a 5-year in numerology. So the overarching theme of this entire year has been about the spiritual lessons, the growth, the expansion, and also, the expanding beyond and moving beyond the institutionalized ways of thinking. So whether that is, very organized institutions that can be expressing itself on the world stage in forms of government, religion, different types of institutions that we're expanding from. So when we talk about connecting further with this season, tuning into that energy of release, of letting go, again, that lightens our load in order to ascend up that staircase of ascension, to really be expanding our knowledge, what we are learning from others and what we have to share as well to teach others. And we do that just through sitting right there, tuning in, shining our light, being our most authentic selves. He's looking quite happy with himself, and he's definitely bathing in the light, feeling that energy of being the lighthouse, being the beacon, but also tuning into those who emanate that same light. So when we talk about connecting further with the season, this could be about, there may be some higher learning that you're interested in, some areas of study. There could be, whether it is literally going to school or enrolling in some type of a program, or something that you're just interested in learning more about. When we talk about tuning out of some of the old stuff that's not serving us, maybe instead of tuning into some of that mindless stuff that was weighing you down, you could take an online class. You could view, a TED Talk or something, something that's going to help expand your awareness and your knowledge in an area that you have of interest. So, you can connect further with the season by releasing the heavier, dense energies that aren't serving you, and then tuning into conserving your energy. And then I'm getting also kind of like that squirrel vibe of sort of like storing up for the winter. So very, in a disciplined way, in a way that, is, doesn't have to be overly structured, but just sort of cognizant, being aware of what it is you're taking in, those acorns that you're picking up, those things that you're going out there and gathering to stow away for the winter. Make it something that is of the highest vibration, something that resonates with you on a soul level. So not just filling it up with the stuff, but, really tuning into what you're feeling drawn to. Okay, so those are our 5 cards. And of course, I did bring back in here the card I pulled over on IGTV, the Sacred Destiny Oracle card from Denise Lynn. We have the Thriving card. So this also spoke to that energy of sticking our necks out, being that beacon, shining our light, having that free connection from heart to throat to head so that we are able to express what is in our heart clearly, following our own intuition, and really standing out as a source of light there in the collective as well. So I'm going to leave it there. I am wishing you the happiest of equinoxes, many, many fall blessings. If you like the video, I appreciate you taking time to like, subscribe, share if you think someone would enjoy it. Again, information in my bio below if you would like to see about my other offerings. Thank you so very much. Take good care. Well, hello and welcome back. Happy spring equinox. If you're tuning into this reading, it is for the Southern Hemisphere, or for those of you who are feeling called to tune into the spring energy for the spread that I am bringing forward today. Now, before I get into it, I wanted to follow up from my IGTV video. If you saw it, I was letting everyone know that I was going to be filming these 2 readings today, one for the Northern Hemisphere, one for the Southern. And when I tuned into a Sacred Destiny Oracle card for the Southern Hemisphere, I received this beautiful Heron card with the energy of patience. The first thing that came to my mind was to mention a observance that we have here in the US and Canada that is called Groundhog Day. And I don't know if you've ever heard of it or you're familiar with it. I realized as I was sharing it that it was probably very localized to my part of the world. And so it was sort of an awareness that came in for me. But the reason that I thought of it was because of this word of patience, because in the Northern Hemisphere, at least in North America, we observe Groundhog Day on February 2nd, which is a tradition of having the groundhog come out on that day and seeing whether or not it sees its shadow. And if it sees its shadow, and I think I said it backwards in my previous video, if the groundhog sees his shadow, it foretells of 6 more weeks of winter. If he doesn't see his shadow, it indicates that spring is coming soon. So there's an element of, depending on whether someone loves the winter or they can't wait, they have spring fever, they might be rooting either way for the groundhog. So what I wanted to share, a special message here, in addition to the spread that I have here, I pulled out the Groundhog Spirit card from Colette Baron Reid's Spirit Animal deck, just to tune into, what was coming through with that. Why the groundhog? Why did that come to mind, that there's a special message here for you in the Southern Hemisphere who likely have no idea what Groundhog Day is. Groundhog Spirit, and the indication here is time to let go. So what this card is talking about is about that element of release and letting go of things that are no longer serving. So it does even reference about the groundhog seeing its shadow, and how when he sees his shadow, he retreats back to his den. And so in that same way, perhaps we might yearn for a little more time, a little more ability to transition into the new. We might not quite be ready to embrace what's coming up for us, what's coming in. But this is hearkening to the fact that spring does bring many blessings, that what must die will always be reborn in a new form that will be right for you. So there's just a little special message here about the beauty of letting go, of death and rebirth, which of course is, what you have just been experiencing through the winter, and now welcoming in this spring energy of rebirth and renewal. So I think that was our cameo here from the groundhog that I wanted to share with you before we dove into these cards that I have here for you today. So what I have is a spring equinox spread that is looking at the seeds of something that we've planted, the hopes of new growth, the water, what we need to do to cultivate it. We have the bloom. How will it blossom in your life in the near future? Spring cleaning, something that we are to let go of, and then the spring growth, what to embrace. Okay, so as we look at that, this is a collective reading. So with collective readings, they're tuning into universal energies. So some things will resonate with you more than others. You are always welcome to take what resonates and leave the rest. The best way to get real specific guidance is to have a personal empowered tarot reading. And if you're interested in that, the link is below to my website for all of my offerings, the tarot readings, in addition to the color healings that I offer. So you're welcome to check that out. Now for the collective, we're diving right in with this first card we have, and this is the Light Seers deck by Chris Ann. It's one of my favorites. We have the first card as the seed coming up as the Emperor. And this is talking about something that you've planted in the hopes of new growth. So what this is showing is that you have definitely been strategizing, planning, looking at strategically bringing something new into your life, perhaps plans that you're making for the spring or that you'd like to make for the spring, but really trying to use logic and intellect and an unemotional approach to deciding what those next steps are. So that could even be big moves like moving house, changing job, something that you are really strategizing about and contemplating. But this is that divine masculine energy, the action of taking some step. However, the Emperor only takes steps that he knows will be successful. So he is very deliberate. He is patient, and he thinks through and plans through things in a very logical, analytical, unemotional way. So, as far as the seeds that you've been planting in hopes of new growth, it's showing that there are definitely some things that you have been strategizing and planning about. Now, when we look at the water, what will you need to cultivate it? Well, it's going to call for strength. Okay, here we have a decent number. We have 3 major arcana cards here for your spring equinox energies. So there's big things happening. The seeds that you've planted, the moves that you're looking to make, and these can be literal moves or strategic moves, are going to require strength, the water to help them grow. So that's going to be courage, boldness, bravery, sovereignty, taming of the beast within. So that's all of the things that you may be fearing, the parts of yourself that you fear. What if I fail? What if it doesn't work out? What will everyone else think? All of those naysaying thoughts and ideas and things that bring up that fear energy, that's what we have to cut out, and we have to usher in to water and cultivate the energy of strength and courage, bravery, and sovereignty. So there's definitely going to be a need for that heart-centered, courageous guidance as you move through the things that you are thinking about and planning, moves that you're looking to make, or strategic steps. So now as we look at the bloom, how will it blossom? Well, here we have the 5 of Swords, and this is the card that asks victory, but at what cost? There's some sort of a conflict that's been going on. This can be a mental conflict in your own mind. This can also be arguments and disagreements and battles that you've been having with others, with situations. Again, it could be what you're contemplating here, what you've been strategizing about. If you are looking at having to make a move, if you're looking to have to make changes, if you've been presented with some difficult decisions or options or things that were coming up that have really caused quite a headache, that really have you feeling very battle worn. There's an opportunity to put the sword down, victory, but at what cost? Engaging in these needless arguments, engaging in these confrontations. What purpose do they serve? How are they enriching your life? Is there an opportunity for you to step away? And even if this person or this situation seems to think that they are emerging the victor, you have an opportunity to step out of that energy. So that's coming up as what will blossom in your near future is a detachment from, a stepping away, a laying down of arms that engage you in futile activities that aren't bringing anything positive and uplifting into your life. So that blossoming is that new change coming in, of stepping away from that energy. Then we look at the spring cleaning. What do we need to let go of? Well, this is the gorgeous Empress. Of course, if this is the divine masculine energy and the Emperor, here is the divine feminine, the Empress, and she is Mother Earth. She is the divine mother. She represents fertility and new growth, rebirth, all of the beautiful spring energies. So certainly, what are we cleaning out from that would be anything that is of the reverse, bringing in things like the weeds. I always say we don't feed the weeds. So if we're trying to cultivate this beautiful garden, we are not going to allow it to be overrun with weeds. We're not planting the weeds. We're wanting to only bring forward those blooms that we most wish to have in our garden. So when we talk about spring cleaning, we're really weeding out those things. And that's, again, more of that energy of weeding out the things, the people, the situations that aren't serving us, and really turning our gardens over. Again, this can be literally, you could be gardening, you could be, refreshing your home and turning it over for the new season, but also your spiritual garden, emotionally, the things that you are fertilizing in your life in order to cultivate the new. Making sure that you're using good quality fertilizer. So on the spiritual side, that's going to be, what are you taking in? What are you tuning into in your garden in order to have it grow and bloom in the way that you wish? So as we do our spring cleaning, weed out those things, we look at the spring growth, what to embrace. So here we have the 5 of Pentacles. So now this is that energy of sort of, you can see here, and it's so beautifully depicted here. She sits in front of a door that is highlighted. You can see she feels locked out. She's left out. She feels like she has limited options. She's looking rather defeated there. And yet here is the key. It's right there. It only needs to be picked up. So there's a shift in perspective. There's a looking from a higher vantage point that's available. So throughout the spring, what you can embrace is, there may be some doors that have been closed to you. There may be some, entryways that you thought you were going to be crossing over, thresholds that you were going to be moving across that didn't pan out, or that you found that you did feel that you were shut out or left out. And yet we have that beautiful reminder that as any door closes, another door always opens. So it is sort of lifting up and looking to the horizon to see that there are many other doors of opportunities that will open for us, so that when we're feeling down and out, this can also be physically, this can represent physical illness of feeling unwell, feeling run down, feeling, in some way, again, on the outside looking in, feeling like you are out in the cold. And yet here's the key. It's right there. So again, when we're stepping into our power, when we're embodying our sovereignty, when we're using our logical, strategic thinking, we're detaching from being overly emotional or overly swept up in emotion to get that more level-headed way of looking at things, which is cutting out all of the excess mental clutter and chatter that goes on here. When we cut all of that out, then we have this clean, clear, freshly weeded garden that is ready to plant and begin to sow those seeds, to have these new blooms come in, and that will open up this new gateway, this new entrance into crossing over into that new threshold that really is the right one for us. Doors close for a reason, even if at the time it can feel very heavy, it can feel very difficult, rejection and so forth. Oftentimes those situations are the ones that really gift us with the greatest awareness of seeing things from a new, higher perspective. So, for the spring, as you move through this season, there's definitely going to be a lot of that weeding out of the old, stepping away, cutting away of things that are no longer serving, really focusing energies on things that foster the type of growth that you're looking to bring into your life. And finding that new doors will be opening for you, and in the most unexpected places as well. So it's kind of like, especially this situation, like this can feel like having stirred around stuff for quite a bit, and really getting caught up in it. And with the swords being, our mental aspect, the air element, it's very much in the head. It's very much in our thinking, analyzing. It can be over analyzing. It can be analysis paralysis, getting caught up in all of that head stuff. The more that we cut out the excess and step away from that and cut out those taunting voices, and again, that feels more external. So this is going to be like other people's opinions, other people's perceptions, other people's beliefs, things that they are, coming at you with. The more that we step away and cut that out, the clearer our garden becomes for us to plant what we wish to bring in. And here comes, the highlight on the key to the right door for us, finding that ourselves at home within ourselves with our own resonance. And so that energy is really what is starting to blossom for you this spring. So again, bringing back in the overarching energy that came up in the IGTV poll, we have the Patience card with the heron, and this is indicating that there's a lot of mistiness here. There's fogginess. So again, things that aren't entirely clear to you right now, even if you're not totally clear on what these things are, or which doors are going to open, understand that, the mist forms, the fog forms from an abundance of moisture, water. And of course, we're just on the other side of that very watery, emotional, Pisces full moon. So there is a lot of emotion. There's a lot churning up. There's a lot coming to the surface, and it's creating this fog. It's creating this density where it is difficult to see with great clarity right now, but the fog does lift. The fog will pass. And when it does, you will, as you tune into your own resonance, your own strength and sovereignty, balancing that divine masculine and divine feminine aspects within yourself, you will have that clarity coming through more and more as you progress through the season. Okay, so that's what I'm getting here for the collective for our quick read. I am wishing you a very happy spring equinox and many, many spring blessings. Thank you so much. If you like the video, please click like below. You may wish to follow or share with anyone else you think this reading may resonate with. I thank you so much. Take good care.